Hello and welcome. I am Aziel, and so it's Monday, so we talk about a faction or a game and how to improve its lore. Especially, mostly factions, to be honest with you. It usually is. I think I've done one game one, but factions it is. And today is the mad scientists of the Wild West Exodus, the dystopian wars, armoured clash, and of course the entire setting of the dystopian age. They are major players within the lore itself. They are very important. They are absolutely everywhere. They are not governed by the countries they reside in. They stick to their own laws and their own rules. And yeah, they want to rule the world like any good mad scientist should. And we have some really fascinating characters in there, like Gustav Eiffel, Emily Noguer, and of course we can't forget Burson Carpathian. Some really interesting characters and some really interesting lore. So they are basically the mad scientists, as I said, and they're also very capitalist. And they want to keep the dystopian wars going for as long as they could, and especially within America and Arizona, they really wanted to keep it going with supplying both sides with the same technology. And so that the war just kept going, and they would keep getting paid by the countries or the war or the governments or anything to continue with the weapon manufacturing. As I said, they are pretty evil. And so, how to improve their faction within the lore. Now, while I was looking through this, and unfortunately with Wild West Exodus and the entire dystopian age, there isn't much lore to go through. There's some old canon books and a graphic novel. There's one canon book, and of course there is the rule books. I cannot state anything about Armoured Clash right now because, it's not out yet. Can't wait. I really can't. I'm really excited for that one. Because basically the lore. Anyway, back to the point. What would really make them interesting would be not actually expanding their lore within Wild West Exodus, however, expanding their lore within the Lost World Exodus. Lost World Exodus is a kind of expansion, own game. Kind of think of it like Soulstorm for Dawn of War. It's its own game but an expansion at the same time. You can use the models for Lost World Exodus within Wild West Exodus, and they have some really, really good ones. The Pride of Necromata is one of my favourite posses I've ever painted or built. But we're talking about the Enlightened here, and that is where we get into it. Now, they do have a Lost World Exodus posse, which is the Soul Hunters. If you like Ghostbusters, this is definitely up your alley. And it's their story within the Lost World and Antarctica where it could really get interesting. One of the major plot points of the Enlightened is the Vault. It is in control by one Sturgeon. He is the one who discovered it, he's the one who opened it, and he's the one who really wants to get, the most out of it. He doesn't know what's in it, well, most of the Enlightened don't, but he does believe it's good for humanity, but he also believes, we're not going to tell a lot of humanity about this, especially not governments. I speculate that it's alien weaponry in there, in my opinion, and some aliens which we've yet to see from the Watchers, more devastating, more dangerous, some stuff that might have actually had older models like the Umber Alpha. Really cool stuff. So he probably sees what's in it. So here's the thing. If we go to the Lost World Exodus and we start discussing that, we can start talking about things that are happening there with the Enlightened, especially surrounding the Vault. And Burson Carpathian tried to get in. There's a lot of, I would say, political intrigue, seeing as Carpathian can lie where in a place where people talk telepathically, and he's the only one who can do this. This makes it a very interesting point and subject to talk about, because if he's the only one who can lie in that means he could say more. He knows more than what he's letting on. And while talking to people like Sturgeon or any of the other governments, while discussing it in this telepathic form, it is used quite commonly, thankfully. So, governments can't actually lie to each other. They have to tell the truth on what they're planning. And the Empire uses it quite a bit to maintain peace within themselves. But Burson, being able to lie within this state, I'd say, gives him a huge leg up on everyone else. So if someone had told him how to get into the Vault, he would be able to speak to Sturgeon, lie to his face using this telepathic communication, and Sturgeon would be none the wiser. Whereas if Sturgeon did actually know what was exactly in the Vault and tried to lie to Carpathian, Carpathian would know straight away. He would know that he was lying, and he would therefore know what was in the Vault. So what would be interesting is seeing this more action from Carpavian himself and why he wants to get into the vault, what's driving him. Maybe it's some form of resurrection potion or machine to resurrect his wife, who he was really close to. His wife Veronica was his love of his life, absolutely adored this woman, worshipped the ground she walked on, and it was due to a quote-unquote stray bullet from Odysseus Grant that killed her. She was in a medically induced coma and she was in a life pod, and basically a bullet from Odysseus' gun destroyed it and killed her, though making him very, very hateful of the Union. He also hates the Union because they have one of their best members now. Seeing the defection of Nikola Tesla to the Union really got up his nose. That would be also an interesting aspect here, because Nikola Tesla is the one who openly defected. See, the Enlightened also have this rule that if you're one of the scientists within the Enlightened, you're not to be patriotic at all. You're not to stand up for your country. The covenant of the Enlightened comes first. But that's not always the case. Isambard Kingdom Brunel, yes, the bridge builder, tunnel maker of the West Country, he is part of the Enlightened, but he's more patriotic to Britain. He will stand for Britain more than he'll stand for the Enlightened. Of course, this upsets a lot of people, but given their rules are very much a centrist, libertarian, almost anarchist point of view, that they're not actually governing anyone and they're not being governed, there's not much they could actually do for it outside of openly defecting. That's why Nikola Tesla is absolutely hated. We'd like to see what other scientists are leaving the Enlightened for their countries, or helping out in ways that can help bring the Enlightened down, and what scientists are being less patriotic to their country and moving to the Enlightened. That kind of ebb and flow of power with the Enlightened. I think that would be interesting to see. And then once we go back to the Vault, because like I said, the Vault is interesting, and having a story of Burson Carpavian trying to get into the Vault, what he needs to stop, does he eventually get in, does he discover what Sturgeon is hiding, all of that would be fantastic to read about and learn about. Or does he get killed? Because, the Enlightened are an army, they are a warlike faction, they use very technical and most advanced technology out of everyone within the dystopian age, such as flying saucers. Would they allow it? And if he did get in, would Sturgeon try and tell him to keep the secret, or would he kill him on the spot? Would Carpavian be able to keep the secret? Maybe it is something in there so terrible that only keeping it as a secret is what keeps the world safe. There's so many questions unanswered here, which makes it even more interesting, all going with the Enlightened. And I think it ties a lot to the Watchers. But like I said, we could see an ebb and flow with the Enlightened's power, given scientists leaving and joining, and what they think of scientists and members that aren't so devout to the Enlightened, but more patriotic to their country. What do they think of defectors such as Nikola Tesla? There's so many unanswered questions here, and it would be really interesting for War Cradle to explore. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video on the Enlightened. I know they're a popular faction. They are quite a cool faction. I'm painting some as I speak. Thank you very much for watching. If you wish to get some Enlightened stuff, check out Wayland Games. They have so many there. So many. Even the starter box is half Enlightened. And you get Gustav Eiffel, Smash and Grab, and Emily Nugier for your Enlightened army, as well as some Mono Calves, Mono Striders. Well, you can make them as either. And some jet bikes, iron horses. So it's a cool box to get. I really do enjoy it. And it's free delivery after £20. There is, of course, Forbidden Planet, which is comics, all that cool geeky stuff. Comics, DVDs, mangas, anime, plushies, toys, everything that's really cool. There is my merchandise TVs, t-shirts, cups, notebooks, bags, all sorts of cool stuff, all the art and designers by me. There's my comic down below as well, which is cool. If you want to read a horror comic, there's a really dark story in that one actually about alcoholism. There's also Skyforge. Always give that guy a click, give him some extra credit, help him boost his Google ranking. And finally, Patreon, because business. Bye bye.